Hello and welcome to another adventure. I've been asked by a couple of subscribers, in fact they asked me quite a while ago, said, Mike, would you do a video on kit? What to wear, what to carry when you're out on the trail? And I've been meaning to get around to do it for ages, and anyway, so here we are. And I thought what I would also do is a series of videos on basics, you know, what kit to wear, what tent to use, what stove to take when you go camping. So I'm going to do a few of these sorts of videos on the basics, and today we're going to start with what to wear. So everything you're going to need if you're going to go out on the trail, everything you need apart from the bike. Right, enough waffling, let's get on with it. Right, okay, so before I get into it, let me just say that I'm not the kind of guy that says, these are the best boots ever, or this jacket you must wear, or this is the perfect Daysack. That's not me, because I think all of those statements are not true. There is no perfect jacket. There aren't a perfect pair of boots. We're all different. We all want different things. So what I am going to talk about today is just what I like, and I'm going to explain why I like it, and then hopefully that will inform you and help you make a choice of what it is that you want to wear and you want to take out onto the trail. So these are City Crossfire 2 boots. This is my second pair of City Crossfire 2s. Absolutely brilliant bit of kit, brilliant boots. Motocross boots really. But you can use them obviously for anything. I use them for when I'm out on my adventure bike and just general trail riding. What I like about City Crossfires is, first of all, they're an amazing boot and give you a really good level of protection. But I also like the fact that you can replace the sole. So I don't know if you're going to see that there. You see the screws in the bottom. So the sole on the City Crossfires, you can replace the sole. So these are City Crossfire SRS, sole replacement system. And so that means you can put a variety of soles on there. You could obviously just do a straight swap if you wanted, but you could also put a Supermoto style sole on there, an Enduro style sole. These are a motocross style sole. And if you look at a motocross boot, the tread, the bottom of the boot, the tread is generally quite smooth and flat, and you have quite aggressive foot pegs on a motocross bike or an enduro bike, and so those aggressive pegs will dig into this, and I don't find that not having a boot type tread on the bottom has ever prevented me from pushing the bike or walking or whatever. Now, you hear people say a lot, oh, you could walk all day in those boots. And I kind of think, I'm riding my bike, why do I want to walk all day? Yeah, you might want to walk into the cafe or do a little bit of walking, but I don't do a lot of walking. When I go out on my bike, I'm riding the bike. So I'm not really interested in, are they uber comfortable? But that said, I've worn these all day for several days on the trot, and I just don't know I've got them on. They are really comfortable, great boots. So that is what you're looking for. You're looking for a boot that is comfortable, but you also want a boot that is going to give you a good amount of protection. Now look, with these boots, they've got this pivot here. So you have got a bit of a pivot that way, but you cannot crush these, bend these over, you can't twist them. They are a really solid, sturdy boot. And that's how you know when your boot is going to give you the right amount of protection, as far as I see it, when you're out on the trail or you're on your big adventure bike. Because if you could twist that boot, then if your foot gets in by the back wheel or in by your chain and it gets caught, it's going to do a lot of damage. If you go over and the bike lands on your ankle or on the lower part of your leg, and the boot isn't a stiff boot, it's not going to give you that protection. So in a boot, you really want that solid, stiff protection. I wear these in winter with a waterproof sock, which I'll come on to. I don't get cold feet. I just really like these boots. They're brilliant boots. They're easy to clean. I just spray them up with some of the bumper spray, which is what I use on my plastics, because they are quite plasticky, these boots. There is a little bit of leather. but they are giving me a really good solid amount of protection. Because of the adjustable straps, you've got loads of adjustability, and they'll fit a variety of calf sizes, and depending on what sort of shin pads or knee protectors you're wearing, yeah, these boots are really, really adaptable. So I'd recommend you go for something like this, because I just think this is the minimum amount of level of protection you're going to need. They do get a bit of getting used to. They are quite stiff, and sometimes people do have trouble changing gear with boots like this on, but that tends to be their technique of changing gear. It is not because the boots are so stiff, it's how they are trying to change gear. If you have got boots like this and you're struggling, then maybe you need to have a look on YouTube, find a tutorial on shifting technique. Look in the motocross videos, don't look at the adventure bike stuff, and you'll find something that I guarantee will help you. So boots, you definitely want something like that. Now I've got these I think they're TCX, yeah, TCX boots, and they kind of look like an enduro sort of aggressive-ish style boot, and I just wear these when I'm out on the T7 and I'm on the road. These aren't the sort of thing I wear off-road. This is just what I wear on the road. Again, they've got a smoothish sole, which is what I like about them. So as you're sliding your feet backwards and forwards, changing gear, dabbing on the rear brake, the foot just moves up and down nicely on there. These are waterproof sort of road boots, but like I said, I wouldn't wear them off the road, because look, yeah, absolutely no protection at all. So if your foot gets wrapped in around the wheel there, it's going to do some serious damage. Yeah, there is a bit of protection there in the sort of shin area, but I wouldn't be wearing something like this on the trail. Absolutely no protection whatsoever. Okay, so socks. So this time of year, because it's wet, I'm wearing these. So these are called Sealskinz Socks. And if you've not heard of Sealskinz, Sealskinz is a brand, and they make waterproof socks. Now nothing is 100% waterproof. So water will eventually get into these, but they're obviously more waterproof, way more waterproof than just a regular sock. What I tend to do is I have a really thin pair of socks on under these, and then I put these socks on in winter to help just keep my feet drier and a little bit warmer. They are quite warm, yeah, so Sealskinz Socks. But you can buy waterproof socks from Aldi, sometimes sell waterproof socks. Not the long ones, but they do sell them, so it hasn't got to be Sealskinz, but something like that is well worth wearing. What I tend to wear most of the time is a sock like these. So these are from Decathlon. These are just ski socks. Now with any of the clothing we're going to talk about, none of it that you are wearing wants to be cotton. Everything needs to be a man-made fibre or wool, something like merino wool or lamb's wool. In a sock is fine, but you don't want cotton. Cotton gets wet, it stays wet, it's cold. It's not good for sort of activity wear, because it doesn't wick the sweat well. It doesn't dry quickly. So for something like a sock, you want a synthetic or woolen sock, and you want socks that come up almost to your knee. So when I've got these on, these come up almost to my knee, and that's because your shin pad or knee pad goes over them. So having a longer sock just gives you a bit more comfort when you put your shin pads on. So if you're not wearing Sealskinz, then all year round, the rest of the year, even in summer, you want some nice long socks like that. Okay, base layers. So just lately, the first thing that I've been putting on base layer wise is these shorts. So these are called Motor Skivvies shorts. Seen that there. Bought these at the adventure bike shop just down the road from me in Acton, and they are essentially like a cycling short, you might say. They've got this pad in there, but the padding is different, and where the padding sits is different to a cycling shorts. I've got a lot of cycling shorts because I do a bit of cycling. Well, I used to anyway, another story. and cycling shorts generally don't work as well as these. So these aren't the solution to everyone's sore arse problems, but they're better. I would say, you know, they're probably a 30% improvement over nothing. They're clearly, say for the CRF, not as good as a Seat Concepts seat, but generally I've found these motor skivvies a reasonably good buy. So that's the first thing I tend to put on, is a set of motor skivvies shorts. And then depending on the time of year will depend on what leggings I put on. So it might be at the minute, because it's February here in the UK and it's winter, I might wear something like this. So this is just fleecy bottoms, fleecy trousers. These are actually Hollister ones, but they were on a sale going cheap. And I just thought, oh, they'd be great on the bike. So they're just a fleecy trouser. What I really like about these as well, these are great because when you get to a campsite, you can wear these in the tent at night and they're warm because they're fleecy. And you could like walk, you could walk to the shop in them and no one would really know. But obviously, because it's fleece, they're great under the bike. So fleece, proper fleece, is a man-made material. It's actually made out of recycled plastic bottles. So obviously that is sort of more extreme, that I wear under my trousers, depending what trousers I'm wearing, just to keep me warm in winter. So something like that will do you well. And then I've got these were from Decathlon, and these were actually billed as like fisherman's leggings. It was part of a set, trousers and top. And so this is kind of fleecy. I don't know if you're going to see that. It's like a fleecy layer. So that's another warm layer. So say it's sort of below about 8 degrees to about 4 degrees. That's what I'd wear, something like that. And it's got the obvious hole there, so you can have a pee, which is worth looking for. They weren't a lot of money. Again, synthetic material, and they've been really good. Now in summer, what you might want to wear on your legs is something like this. So this is made by Nike, but one of the more sort of common brands is Under Armour. But all of the sort of motocross, enduro gear suppliers sell their version of this. But I think I bought these in Sports Direct and they weren't a lot of money, maybe about 15 quid. So this is a really, really thin, very, very thin layer. Now the Under Armour brand came about because it was what American football players wore under their armour when playing American football. And then I discovered Under Armour whilst I was out serving in Afghanistan, because all the Americans were wearing Under Armour under their body armour, which we thought was a bit weird. Why would you put another layer on? Surely another layer makes you warmer in hot conditions. But actually these thin layers in summer work really, really well. So I never have bare legs straight into my trousers, my sort of enduro motocross style trousers, or my Thor terrain trousers that I wear. I never have bare legs. I've always got something on depending on the temperature. And so in summer, this is, what I wear. So it's this really thin layer, and it surprisingly does help keep you cool. It stops chafing, it stops things rubbing. Yeah, it makes things a bit more of a pain when you want to go for a pee, but it really, really does work. So that's sort of Under Armour, Nike, sort of thin layer leggings. Again, not cotton. That is a synthetic material. So this is the top that I would wear to go with them. So moving up to upper body. So these are like these compression tops, the sort of really thin layers that really do help wick the sweat and keep you cool in warm weather. So this would be my extreme base layer that I would wear, something like this. You can also get long sleeve versions. So when it's not quite so cold, you can get a long sleeve version like that, and the neck's quite high on that. But these do surprisingly work really well on hot days and when you're getting sweaty. And I've also got this. I got this in Aldi. This is another one I got in Aldi, a thin layer. And this actually feels cold to touch. How they do that, I don't know. But it was billed as a sort of hot weather, keep you cool base layer. And it really does work. So I'm going to have my body armour over this when I'm out on my bike. And this is just a good layer to help get that sweat away from my body, keep me cool, stops the chafing, and they're not expensive. The only problem is with these synthetic materials is they smell really bad really quickly. I was talking to my friend Sean the other day, and he's got some bamboo stuff that he bought to try, and he said that's even worse. The bamboo clothing, literally made out of bamboo, he said that does stink bad quickly. So these can be bad. Something natural like merino wool, they tend to be much better for keeping the smells away, merino wool. But the problem is merino wool's quite warm. I find it quite warm anyway. So on really, really hot weather. And the fact is, look, you're off to Portugal for a few days, or even if you're in the UK and you're out with your mates, you're going to stink if you're not stopping and having showers. Well, certainly your clothing's going to stink anyway. Yeah, so that's base layers. Right, so as I said, I'm a motocross guy, come from a motocross background. So when it comes to sort of trousers, or as they say, pants, it's obviously an American term. This is the sort of thing I wear in the summer. These sort of motocross enduro style pants. These go into your boots, not over your boots. Most things I wear go into my boot. So these are your sort of average motocross pants. Obviously made by Fly. Point to note, on most of these sorts of enduro motocross style trousers, they have padding in the hip area. You can take that out if you're wearing padded shorts. That's just velcroed in, so you can take that out and obviously take it out for washing. So you've got something like that, which is the trouser. And then what I bought last year, and I've thought these were really, really good. So these are Fox. I think they're called Ranger. So Fox have a line called Legion. So the Legion stuff is generally their sort of enduro trail stuff. And I think these are called Ranger though. And so these are a bit thicker. They've got pockets on the legs. They've got vent zips on the legs as well. Again, they've got the padding. I don't think that's the actual padding that came with them, but I've just got so many of these now, when I'm washing. Yeah, so they've been really, really good. They've got the leather patches on the inside of the knees, which is for gripping the bike and just gives you a bit more protection. They've been really good, really comfortable, and a good buy. I've really liked them. So I probably wouldn't wear them on the hottest of days. But for most of the time, most of the year, that's going to be my go-to trousers now. I just wish they did them in a bit more of a leery colour. But that's nice, though. I like that. So top-wise, this is, in summer, what I wear on my top half. Is just a regular motocross enduro jersey like this. This is really thin, really lightweight. It wicks the sweat well. It dries really quick. Yes, it will smell after a bit, but this is the sort of thing I wear. Yeah, and it's just really comfortable on what I like to wear. And then to go with those Fox Ranger pants, this was the part of the line. This was the sort of shirt, jersey that I bought to go with them. Again, this is quite thin, wicks the sweat well. It's all man-made fibres, so it will dry quickly. This has got a sort of, a sort of tougher material here. So I've found that this doesn't catch on the bushes and that when you're going down the really tight lanes and on the brambles and the thorns. That's been good. And also I'd wear that to the bloody pub. So yeah, I've liked that. I do like the Fox, Legion, Ranger range that they do. That's really, really good gear. So in the colder months, in winter, you know, early spring, late autumn, what I've been wearing on the bike is this Thor terrain gear, which I've done a review of this. So if you search the videos on the channel, you'll find my review of this gear, and it's been really, really good. I think the whole set was about 300 quid. So jacket and trousers, which I think is really, really good value for money. When you look at, for a set of jacket and trousers from something like Adventure Spec or Klim or any of those sort of big brands, you're looking at near 800 quid. So these are obviously the trousers. They're not waterproof, they're semi-waterproof, shower-proof, which is what I want really, because if you've got a garment that's fully waterproof, they tend to be too warm. They don't allow the sweat out and the heat out, and then you start to get uncomfortable and your helmet's misting up because you've got all this heat coming out from your body straight up into your helmet. So I tend to prefer to carry a separate waterproof layer. I'll come on to that in a second. Anyway, so Thor terrain trousers, they've got like vent zips, which, so if you're buying something, you know, especially for your sort of autumn into summer wear, you want something with vent zips, because you're going to get so far down a trail and you're going to realise you're way too warm. So look for something that's got good venting. Now these trousers, they go over the boot. So the reason in winter you want trousers that go over the boot, or if there's a lot of water about, is because then as you ride through a puddle, water splashes up your legs and it will hit your trouser and then go over the boot and away. If you've got your trousers in your boot, the water will hit your leg and go in your boot, and your feet will be sodden before you know it. So that's one of the things I liked about these, was that I could wear them either in the boot or out the boot. I've had a bit of a problem with the zip on these. See, they had a proper toggle on and I've had to change it, put a bit of cordage on. But that was my fault because I wasn't looking after the zips, and I was washing the gear and reapplying a Nick Wax product to sort of give it a bit more waterproofing. But I wasn't waterproofing the zips, and so then the zips got dry and they were difficult to pull, and in a angry mode one day I pulled it a bit too hard and I pulled the zip end off. And they've had some hammer and they've had some wear, but they've been really, really good. Again, you can fit they've got the Velcro tabs for fitting padding. And so it is a semi-waterproof material. It's got this lining inside, so you can see it's this sort of mesh lining, and then this waterproof, semi-waterproof material inside. They've got the leather patches, knee patches, or inside your knee patches for better control on the bike. You know, good amount of adjustability. I've been really, really happy with that. And it's lightweight. I'll come on to this, but it's fairly lightweight anyway, and it's very comfortable to wear. So this is the Thor terrain jacket that goes with that. Again, it's got some good venting zips, it's got good pockets, it's got some great big vents on the back, so when you start to get warm you can obviously zip that off. It's got like a poacher's pocket on the back, so theoretically the whole jacket folds into that pouch, and you could look really cool riding around with it on your, you know, this bum bag, bouncing around as you rode along, if you wanted to. Now, what is brilliant about this is that I think is always something now that I'll get in a jacket of this sort, is the sleeves zip off. So it doesn't take long at all to zip the sleeves off. Sleeves come off. So when you're out in sort of, you know, spring or late autumn, and you go out for a ride and you get to the trail and you're just riding up the motorway or the A road, whatever it is, you're quite cool getting there. But then as soon as you start riding off road, you'll warm up, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're really warm, and just being able to zip the sleeves off and use the jacket as a gilet, I've found to just be a brilliant option. And I've really, really liked that about these. So, yeah, Thor terrain jacket. It's got a bit of a lining inside, just a sort of comfort lining. Yeah, that's been really, really, really good. Right, so what I've been wearing, allied to that Thor terrain gear, is this synthetic sort of soft insulated jacket. It hasn't got a hood, hoodless. Obviously you don't need a hood while you're on the bike. I think this was 25 quid from Decathlon. I mean, how do they do it for that? But this has been brilliant. It's been really, really warm. And I tend to wear this just when I'm on the road. So I wouldn't wear this when I'm off-road, because as soon as you get on the trail, you soon get sweaty and hot. Yeah, for sort of those transitional, long transitional bits on the road, or when you get to camp in an evening, you can obviously take it out, stick it on, and it's 25 quid. You know, if you're sitting by a fire in a £300 jacket that you bought from Adventure Spec, and you get embers on it from the fire and it burns a hole in it or whatever, it gets trashed, you're not going to be happy trashing a 300 quid jacket. I love Decathlon, so I'm definitely going to recommend Decathlon. Go around there for a look. But you could go to sort of a mountain warehouse or go outdoors. What you would definitely want to get though is something that is a synthetic insulating material. You don't want down, because down is useless when it gets wet. Down compacts better and is lighter, but down doesn't work when wet. So for a jacket, because you might get sweaty or you might get wet riding, then there's a good chance that your jacket's going to get wet. So therefore you don't want down. Whereas I don't mind having a down sleeping bag when I'm on the trail, because I can make sure that the down sleeping bag isn't going to get wet by putting it in a dry bag. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? So this has been brilliant, and they compact down to nothing. These do compact down really small. It will actually fold into its own pocket, but as a really warm layer, you won't go far wrong with something like that. Right, okay, so let's have a quick chat about gloves. And I think this is an area that a lot of novice riders get wrong. Is thin. They've got a nice sort of, it's like kangaroo hide or something like that on the bottom. So it's this really thin, nice leather that gives you good grip on the bars. But there's not a lot of padding to them. There's just a little bit of armour there, as you might call it, on the fingers, but not a lot at all. But the key thing is it's thin, and it gives me great feel on the bike. And I see a lot of beginners in big chunky gloves, which then means you haven't got the feel, you haven't got the throttle control. So I always go with the thinnest glove I can get away with. Also in a glove, I'm always looking for something that will work with touch screens, so I can operate my phone whilst I'm on the bike and check my navigation and so on. So that's something I'm always testing in the shop when I'm looking at gloves, is do they work on the screen on my phone? So I always go for something that's really thin. So that's the sort of thing I tend to wear most of the time, especially in summer. And then in winter or colder months, I wear something like this. These are from Decathlon, and these are sort of like hiking, sort of climbing gloves. So again, these are quite thin. Now look at this. You're going to think I'm daft. And you imagine you're 4 years old again and your mum's fed up with you losing gloves. So this is a sort of climbing mountaineering hack trick, is you have this elasticated thing here. The gloves came like this. I didn't do this. This is just Decathlon. And I like this because when you start, you've got to take your gloves off. You're not putting them down, dropping them on the floor. You look a bit of a tit, but hey, I'm already in luminous fluorescent gear looking a bit of a tit anyway. So doing this, not going to change much. So these are like a waterproof, thin sort of glove. Look, there's no armour to them. They're just climbing gloves. They're about 25 quid, but they're waterproof. They work with a touch screen on my phone, and this is really good leather and thin. And I mean, I've been riding enough years now to know what a good pair of gloves feels like. So yeah, these have been great from Decathlon. They've not got armour, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, some of the motorbike specific gloves don't have a lot of armour on them, so you've got something like that. Obviously, they've been out on the trail a bit. And then in winter, colder days, I wear something like this. These are again from Decathlon. These have again, I've got a little thing on so you can take your gloves off. Normally it's because I'm faffing around with something, and you take your glove off, stick it in the dash, and then whoosh, wind's taken, it's gone, and you go, oh stop, I've lost my glove. So I found this useful for that. Anyway, so these again are from Decathlon. They're just a leather mountaineering winter glove. They're a bit loose because in winter people tend, if you wear something that's too tight, it stops it from heating up. And it restricts the blood flow in your fingers, so you don't want a glove that's too tight. Again, no armour, but these are waterproof. They work with my screen. They've got the bits in the fingers. Brilliant, brilliant glove. And I like this fastening here, so my sleeve of my jacket comes over it easily. And they were 40 quid. Again, you won't go far wrong with Decathlon. I love Decathlon. Yeah, so that's the sort of gloves I wear. And especially these sort of thinner motocross style gloves in summer. Everyone gets obsessed with armour, but when you're on the trail you don't really need it. I know you're probably going to be on the road, but yeah, I just like the feel and touch and the dexterity that comes with wearing a thin glove like that. Oh, is it me? Is it getting warm in here? Blimey, I needed that. Okay, so let's have a look at protection. These are, I think they're called Fox Titan knee pads. I've had these, I reckon, getting on for 30 years. I've had them a long time, and in fact Fox still make them. And they're just a very, very simple knee pad. So they've got some Velcro straps that come around the back of the leg. The key thing you want with body armour is that it is stuck to your body and isn't going to move. So if you wear an adventure style suit, the padding in the knees and in the jacket, elbows and that, it's all loose. It's on the exterior sort of shell of the jacket or the trousers, and it moves around, and when you fall it can move. Whereas if you're wearing something like this, it can't move, and it's going to give you the protection when it matters. So something like this I definitely recommend. And a lot of this here actually is inside your boot, which is why there's so much adjustability on enduro motocross boots, is to allow for the fit, depending on whether you're wearing knee braces, knee pads. I've not gone down pads, that's what I wear most of the time. And then when I'm wearing my Thor terrain trousers, I have to wear these knee pads because these haven't got the sort of longer bit down here, which means I can tighten the boot up more, which means I can then get the trousers over the boot. So yeah, so these are some mountain biking knee pads that I've had a while. Again, hard shell, they're not going to move, really good protection, very, very comfortable to wear. So it's worth, if you're going to buy something like the Thor terrain jacket and trousers, or any of the brands really, it's worth going to try it on, because, and take all your gear with you and just make sure you get a good fit. And also on that, you just want to make sure that you know that it's loose enough to get your kit on. As I might have mentioned earlier. So yeah, so it's worth going to I went to Jim Ames to try on that Thor terrain gear, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, so anyway, so knee pads again, they're made by Race Face, which is a mountain biking brand, but they've been good. You know, you haven't got to spend a ton of money on knee pads, as long as they do the job. Now this, however, this body armour, this wasn't particularly cheap. It's cheaper than a lot of other brands, certainly cheaper than the Adventure Spec shirt. I forget what they call it. And I absolutely love this. So this is Liat. Liat were the sort of forefathers of, or the inventors of, neck braces, and they started out really with protection equipment such as a neck brace and knee pads, etc., body armor. So Liat are a quality brand when it comes to protection, and this is the Liat Airfit, I think it's called, or Airlight. I can't remember. Can I see it anywhere? No, I can't. But anyway, it's got really, really good chest protection. So a great big chest protection there, and it's got a really full back protector on the back there. But it's also got shoulder protection, it's got elbow protection, it's got front protection, which is just here on your arms, which is kind of handy when you're motocrossing, because you get a lot of roost and stones coming up from the rider in front, and it's hitting you on your body here, and it protects you. So it's not too much of an issue for sort of trail riding, but certainly in some of the rallies I've done, you get savage roost, so it's been handy. And unlike a lot of other body armour, it's got side protection as well, so I really like this. So this is really light, it's really breathable, it's this sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, sort of breathable material with holes in it. So it's great in summer. So I would have my base layer under this, obviously. So I put my base layers on, and then I put my body armour on, I put this on, and then I put my knee pads on, and then I put my trousers on, and so on. But something like this, yeah, is really, really good, and really, really light. Now I have got a sort of adventure suit jacket like this. This is an RST one. I've not had it that long. I bought it because it had bits where you could stick Velcro patches on, so I could get all my military insignia on, which is a bit sad, but I just needed an adventure suit anyway. Now, just lifting this up, it weighs a bloody ton. Now, yeah, it's the jacket and all the body armour built in, but this is why I don't ever wear anything like this on the trail, because it is heavy, it is bulky, the body armour isn't where I want it to be, especially in the trousers, because the knee pads move in the trousers when you're off-road. And so this is fine if you're on the road, but if you're riding on the trail, you don't want something like this on. It's just too bulky, you will get too hot. They're difficult to vent, they're difficult to sort of cool down. You always want to use layers, you want to use the layering system when you're trail riding. So your base layers, then your armour, then maybe a thin fleece, and then a thicker, softy sort of jacket, as I've just shown you there. And it's difficult to do this with these. And they're great on the road, but not on the trail. They're just too heavy, too bulky, too cumbersome. And I find I'm not comfortable in them. Whereas all the gear I've shown you that I normally wear, it's lightweight, it's comfortable, it's great on the trail. So yeah, these are all right, just for a little bit. Obviously on the road they're great, but it's not what I'm going to wear on the trail. Right, helmets. So as you can see, I've got quite a few helmets. This is one of the most recent ones I bought, which is this. It's a Bell MX-9 Adventure. Obviously a helmet with a visor. Yeah, I've so far been really, really happy with this. So obviously when you're buying a helmet, you want to make sure you get a good fit and a proper fit. Seek advice if you're not sure, ask in the shop. But it's vital you get a proper fit. And you know when you've got a good fitting helmet, you sort of know, because it fits and it's nice and it's snug when they're new, and that's what you want. They seem a little tight when they're new, but you don't. If it's loose at new, then it's the wrong size. It's too big. So I'd get advice. So key things you want to look for in a helmet is that orange badge there. So that is what's called the gold badge. It's the sort of ACU badge. That means you can use this for racing and you know, lots of other events where they insist that you have a certified helmet, and that just means it's a good quality helmet. So I found with O'Neill helmets, they often don't have that, and I've seen some nice O'Neill helmets, but because it hasn't got that, I've immediately dismissed it. There is another European one, I forget what it's called, but another European standard. But yeah, so definitely look for a helmet with that gold badge. Yeah, so that's been good. That's sort of winter helmet that I use. Obviously, it's good on the road, and it's been good so far off-road. But I wouldn't really want to wear something like that in summer. It would be too warm for me. So this is my latest helmet, my sort of motocross racing lid that I bought. So obviously it's a Fox helmet. Again, it's got the gold badge on the back, so I can wear it for racing. So motocross helmets are much lighter. They're much better for use in summer because they're cooler. They've got bigger venting. They've obviously got a bigger opening here, which lets the air get through. And then if you're gonna have a helmet like that, then you're also gonna need some goggles. So these are Fox View goggles. I really like these because these arms here on the side, that you can clip them out, and then the lens pops out really easy. So they're the goggles I've been wearing lately anyway with that helmet. And again, it's worth it if you can going to the shop and checking the fit, because you'll find some goggles fit you better than others. Yeah, so I bought this in Gavin Hockey's in Colchester. And so I went down there, I was trying on the helmet, trying on the goggles, really liked it. Yeah, so that's been really, really good. When it comes to helmets, there's a lot of choice. It's worth smashing the reviews on YouTube and having a good look round and just find something you really like. And obviously for me, the leerier the better. Right, I hope you're sticking with this. This is... hope it's not too epic. But if you need to know it, you need to know it. Right, Daysacks. Now, I haven't got to get something that's enduro, trail specific. It can be any Daysack really, as long as it does the job. And as I've said before, you just need to be comfortable with it. I never get to the end of a day, racing or otherwise, and I know that I've had the Daysack on. But some people, they start to get sore shoulders, so they might want to use a tail pack or something like that instead. But you know, I'm fine with a Daysack on, and I forget they're there generally. So yeah, so this is the one I've been rocking latest. So this is a USWE Hajka 24, I think it's called. So it's what's called a roll top bag, because the top rolls. Up all night thinking of how to name that bag. And so in my other Daysacks, I used to put a dry bag, and you roll the top of them down. So to me, it just made sense to. Now I just haven't got the zip bit to fanny around with. I've just got this bit. So anyway, yeah. So this has been a great bag. Really adaptable, really light. It's got some useful pockets and features. So say for instance, down the bottom here is where I keep my toolkit. So with a Daypack, you tend to want to put the weight at the bottom, so it's lower down towards the centre of your back at the bottom, as opposed to being high up on your shoulders, pulling your sort of shoulders back all the time. So I've got the weight in the bag right at the bottom, the heavier thing. So toolkit's right at the bottom in a handy pouch in case I need it. We'll come on to that in a second. Got my Leatherman as well, so that's there. It's got a bladder sort of at the front, immediately behind your back. And the bladder's in this nice sort of thermal bag, which I like, because it then stops it getting the water getting too hot in winter and too cold all the way around. It stops it the water getting too hot in summer and too cold in winter. It's got a decent hip belt on it with pouches on both sides, so I tend to keep food in one, and then in this one I always keep my little trail saw that I carry. So it's definitely in winter you want to be carrying one of these, because of all the wind and weather, you get a lot of trees down, and this has been absolutely brilliant. So it's just like, it's probably going to be a bit of a snake's wedding here, but as my Navy friends would say. Yeah, so it's just like a chainsaw. I don't know if you've seen that there. It's like a chain from a chainsaw, and you put that over the branch that's fallen in the road. And I used to carry like a little handheld thing, but that was quite bulky in comparison to this, and nowhere near as effective. So yeah, this has been a brilliant bit of kit. All this stuff that I've covered, I'll put links to in the video if I can find a link to it, because some of the stuff I've had for years, so you might not have a link. Yeah, so that's been really handy, and it's worth carrying that, because I'd sooner cut down a branch and keep going than do a 5-mile diversion. So yeah, for that, if you need to do a bit of trail mate. And then there's another handy pouch here. So what have I got in here? This side, so I have got, so these are heat pads, and they're worth carrying the hot heat pad in winter, I think, because they do help. I've bought some, I'm just looking my stash here. I bought these the other day, little heat pads, and they were £1 in my local sort of pound shop, and they're absolutely brilliant. So these are hot hands, you get these on Amazon, and they're just really, really good. So stick them inside your jacket on a cold day, or in your gloves. If you look back to the video I did where I went out with a TRF on the chippy run, I talk about these. Yeah, so I tend to just have some of these in my bag. It's for emergencies, really, in case something happens. I am Mr. What If. So I've got some tissues. Obviously, if you get caught short and you need a shit. So this is always worth carrying, I think. So I've got a little pouch, zip pouch, and in there I've got a cloth, and I've got some visor cleaner. So that's Rainex. If you've not heard of Rainex before, you know what planet you've been living on, but Rainex is a sort of product you put on windscreens and lenses to help disperse the water quicker. So that's a cleaner Rainex solution. So that's handy to keep that in your bag. So I've got that in the pouch. And then, anything else interesting in there? No, that's just more hot hands type stuff. So then in the main pouch I have got, so I'm going to take these out in no particular order. So this is, I don't know where I got that bag from, I just had it in the shed. So it didn't come with any of this kit. It might have come with a little tripod I once bought for work. So in this little bag I have got this. So I've got a fork seal tool. So if you get dirt in your fork seals, it can cause them to leak. So it just takes a bit of grit sometimes. Tends to be more of a summer problem, because you go through a puddle, you get mud and dirt up your forks, up the stanchions. It dries off in the heat, and then the next time you compress the fork, the dirt then goes up inside and gets under your seal. So that's a seal tool. If you look them up on YouTube, you'll see how they work. Seal saver tool. And then in here, I've got, try and be as quick as I can here. So I've got Velcro straps, just to obviously keep it all nice, tight, and compact. So this is a trail stand. So this goes into here like this. And in there's some pins and there's a sort of foot plate and a top bit. This is made by, name escapes me, I'll put it up on screen. So yeah, so in this bit here, anyway, I've got this trail tool. I've got a load of zip ties, various sizes, and then a pump for obvious reasons, blowing up my tyres, that I check regularly works, because twice now I've been out with people, they get the pump out and it doesn't work. And then round here I've got lots of tape, various types of tape, sizes, Gorilla tape and clear tape if you smash a lens or something like that. So I've just got some tape around there for obviously if you need some tape for something. And then that just all sits in there, that goes around there, and then obviously those Velcro straps go around there in the bag. You get the point. So that's handy. The trail stand, especially on the T7, because if you get a rear puncher, it's so much easier just to use that stand, just to lift the wheel up, lift the back end up, change the wheel. So this is my wallet that I normally have in the pocket of my jacket. So in here I've got tyre pressure gauge, an old school manual tyre pressure gauge. I've got a little torch, just in case you get stuck. I have also got 2 spanners that are spoke keys, so 2 sort of spanners like that are my spoke key spanners. I've got some pills of various kind in case you have a bit of an off. I've got some earplugs. I've got, this is where I keep my like AA card in there and my driving license. And I've got some cash. So that's just like my little trail wallet that has got some useful bits and pieces in, safety pin, and that always goes in my pocket, or in summer I put it in the rucksack because I don't tend to have any pockets. So that's my little trail wallet. I've then got in there, that's some more useful things like a survival blanket, you know, one of these foil blankets. Oh, let me show you. I've said it now and you'll be thinking, what the fuck's a survival blanket, Mike? I was a mountain leader once in the army, and so you're always doing these courses and thinking about safety. So I've just got some wet wipes, first aid kit, so it's obviously worth carrying a first aid kit. Top tip, if you don't know how to use it, don't carry it. There's not much point. Well, I suppose if you're with someone in the group and they know how to use it, but you know, don't carry a tourniquet if you don't know how to use a tourniquet, because you can do more harm than good. I've also got a few other little bits in there that are helpful, like pills. I think I've got a sewing kit in there as well. And bear in mind, this is if I'm doing a trip, a lot of this stuff, so it's, yeah, I carry it for just doing a day out with a TRF, but a lot of this is also geared around sort of longer trips. More tissues. I must shit a lot. And so this is a survival blanket. It's one of these foil things. And so, you know, on a colder month, if you have a serious incident and people can go into hypothermia when they get shock from an injury, and they'll soon get cold and go into hypothermia, and then, you know, a bad situation gets even worse really quickly. So being able to keep the casualty warm and comfortable is vital. So that's just my little bits and pieces. Waterproof pouch, again, just to help keep my bag tidy and stop that getting wet. And then last couple of things, 21-inch inner tube. 21-inch inner tube can be used in the rear and the front, but you can't put an 18-inch inner tube in the front. So that's why everyone tends to carry a 21-inch. And then in there I've got a few nuts and bolts that are spares for the bike, and a couple of like tie down straps in case something breaks and falls off. What else? So tow rope. So that's my GoPro shutting down. So I've got a tow rope in case someone breaks down and I need to tow them. If you're 3 miles from the road, you know, pushing your bike, or you know, helping your mate push his bike, it's gonna be an absolute nightmare. So having a bit of tow rope, look, it weighs nothing, takes up no space. It's not going to be a problem. And then I've got my tyre levers. So I've got one there with the nut on the end, so it fits the nut on my CRF. And then I've got an adapter in my toolkit, which I'll show you in a second, that means I can put a socket on it, and the socket I keep under the seat of the T7. So the adapter and the socket, I can then get the back wheel off T7. So tyre levers, obvious what I use those for, and then just a rag. So it's handy just to carry a rag. So that is all the sort of stuff I carry on every ride. It doesn't bother me. I don't know it's there. Yeah, it seems like a lot, but I'd sooner be able to sort something out quickly and keep riding or get home than be waiting hours for the AA to turn up. And whenever you have any of these problems, it's always raining, it's always horrible. So yeah, I just think it's worth having it with you. So tool wise, obviously the tie levers I showed you there. So I carry a Leatherman. This is a Leatherman Wave. Had it for absolutely years. You know, that is never going to break. That is always going to be a good bit of kit. They're quite expensive, but you won't go far wrong with a Leatherman Wave. Now, this is just an old pencil case, I think. I got this in a shop somewhere. I bought it for one of the kids for something, and they didn't want it. So then I started using it as a toolkit. So in my toolkit, pair of gloves, just because if you do get a puncture, you can take your gloves off and you can put those on, and it stops you getting your hands filthy and oily and dirty. So and then I've been on rides before and people have forgotten to take their gloves. So I always think at least I've got these to wear if I forget my gloves. But anyway, so I like to carry those anyway. That's the little adapter that goes on that. It's a Motion Pro adapter and a Motion Pro. They're Motion Pro tie levers. So that goes into the tie lever, and then you can use sockets. So that's the socket for the front axle nut on the CRF. So I carry that. And then in here I've just got some things like JB Weld, you know, that's the sort of weld stuff in case you break an engine case or split your radiator. And then I've just got all sorts of sort of little spanners and things that I've collected over the years. And all of this, whenever I'm doing something to my bike, I try and use this because then I know it works on the bike. I know how to use it. I know it's going to fit. I'm not going to, you know, pull out a spanner to try and fix something on the trail one day and I can't get it in and it won't work. So it's worth, you know, just spending some time on this and giving some thought to it and getting a toolkit that works for you. You can get these organisers like this Linden Poskett, you know, organiser thing that Endurostand do, but I just find they're quite big and bulky and take up too much space. So anyway, toolkit, that's what I carry. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about today is waterproofs. So those of you that watched my last video, you've seen this is that Rhinowalk Bag that I bought to lash onto the back of the bike there, and it was brilliant. Yeah, really happy with that for the money, 38 quid. And what I had in there was my waterproofs as well as my warm jacket that I showed you earlier. So these are the waterproofs that I carry, and these, lots of guys use these in the UK. And these are military waterproofs. You can buy these on eBay. I think they're about 25 quid normally each, you know, in that sort of ballpark area. So it's a really good, breathable, it might even be Gore-Tex, I'm not sure, but it's a good material that these are made of. And they work really, really well. I used to wear these when I was in the forces, so I know how good they are, and they're cheap. I mean, that is the main thing. With the leggings, the trousers have got full length zips. Let me just show you this here. Sort of thing you want to look for when you're buying. You can see they've got this full length zip. So that means they're really easy to get on and off. And I know that these go, all my gear that I wear, these will go over it no matter what I'm wearing. So they're the trousers with this full length zip. And then the jacket is quite good as well. I mean, the thing I like about with the jacket is it's got pit zips. So, and what I mean by that is it's got these zips here in the armpit area, which means you can vent, which obviously if it's you're getting warm and a bit hot, which you tend to on the trail, then that's obviously a worthy feature to have in your kit. Right, okay, I think we're there. Sorry it's been a longish video, but you know, you've got to get the key points across. There's no easy way of saying this, but as ever, I like to give people all the information and then they can use that best and work out what's going to work for them. So as I've said, there are no rules, whatever works for you. But certainly I would invest money in a good set of boots. For me, there's no point wearing boots if they're not going to protect you. So spend your money wisely. And I've given you some tips so you know what to look for when you're in the shop. Same with body armour. If you're going to have an accident, then you want body armour that's going to protect you. You want something that's comfortable and something that's usable year round. Because you might buy something in winter that's okay, but does it work in summer? Once it gets really hot, And obviously there's so much choice with helmets, but just make sure you get a good fit, and if you're not sure, get advice in the shop. So wherever you go, a decent bike shop will help you with the fit and give you advice there. With regards to everything else, well, obviously what I wear is kind of what I like to wear and what over the years I've found works for me. When I'm watching stuff on YouTube, I'm kind of looking, what are the pros doing? What are the pros wearing? What are the Dakar guys doing? You know, what's Adam Riemann wearing? You know, these sorts of people who know what they're talking about. I've been in the sport for years. You know, I've come from a motocross background, so maybe sometimes I don't think about how my kit might protect me if I have an off on the road. But, well, I've never crashed yet, anything, so I'm not about to start, but obviously that's not the way to look at it. Anyone can crash at any time. But I'm not too wrapped up in that. You do see that in the forums, people, oh, what will happen if you go sliding down the motorway? And I've found that with kit that will protect you on the motorway, you just get too hot in summer, it's just too warm, and you just then don't enjoy it, and you turn around and go home because you're just too hot and sweaty and uncomfortable. But whatever works for you. So I think that's it. We're there. Sorry it's dragged on. I hope you've enjoyed the video though. I hope it's been useful. Obviously, as per usual, any comments or questions, stick them in the comments below. Any kit that I've mentioned, I will try and endeavour to put a link to it in the description so you can go to it and find it. Anything as well that's useful on YouTube, I might put a link to that as well. Obviously, I'd appreciate it, and I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. That would be really cool. So, from me, bye for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you back on the channel for another adventure soon.